Hi, thank you so much for joining me again here today. I'm so excited to invite my host, Nathalie Gregg, to speak about all things leadership and LinkedIn. I know you may have seen her before around the hashtag Lead Loudly. She is a firecracker of a powerhouse businesswoman, and I'm so excited to have her here today to talk about her insights into client acquisition and how she leverages her strengths in leadership and LinkedIn to find new accounts. Thank you so much for joining us here today, Nathalie.
Thank you so much, Susie. I'm thrilled to be here. Congratulations on your new endeavor.
Oh, thank you so much. So, you mind telling us a little bit about your background and what are some of your favorite tricks and best practices to drive client acquisition for yourself using social media?
Sure, I am Nathalie Gregg, and I like to refer myself as an educator by trade, entrepreneur by design. And the hashtag Lead Loudly is the battle cry for women to live bold, confident, and fearless. So my work is around women's leadership, economic development, and also LinkedIn. Cannot leave LinkedIn out. And I love building communities and having courageous conversations with people who are literally setting the world on fire. That's how we
Why
all
don't you
win.
tell us a little bit about what you do day to day on social media and how you attract work that way?
Well, day to day on social media, I just show up as myself. I actually was challenged by one of my coaches about a year ago, and she was talking about that I needed more visibility, that I needed to show up more. And I wanted to really share with the audience and share specifically on LinkedIn about the 3 V's of Lead Loudly, and that's voice, value, and visibility. So I leveraged the selfies as a part of the visibility piece. And I am a Starbucks aficionado. And so most of the times you will see me with a Starbucks cup in my hand, or you will see me sitting in a coffee shop. Most of the time that's woman owned or woman led. So that's how I champion women's empowerment by helping women become their own economic engines.
I love it. And there's often a beach, and sometimes your dog, is it Buster? What's your,
Yes, yes,
yeah,
but
Buster.
Buster is my chief puppuccino officer, and he
Oh,
thinks that
yeah.
every Starbucks is his Starbucks cup. So I have to be careful when I'm drinking my Starbucks around Buster.
He wants to get in on that moment with you.
That's so
Now
good.
you're heavily on LinkedIn each day, and you've even
Mhm.
earned yourself a LinkedIn Top Voices badge. How did you get it, and how has it helped amplify like your credibility, and amplified your own branding to get that badge?
Well, interestingly enough, I actually scheduled an intention with one of my mentors, Paul Carrick Brunson, because he became a LinkedIn top voice years ago. And I said, Paul, I really want to walk down that path. I really want to make a commitment to leadership and women's empowerment, so I can get a badge as well. And so he said, well, you did the first thing. You set the intention as far as this is what you want, so now you need to start posting about this on a regular basis. And so in February I was invited by LinkedIn to be one of the early adopters and start providing content. So it's actually in conjunction with AI. So AI generates the beginning of the conversation, and real content creators actually generate their best practices and their tips and tricks that they would include. And I was happy to say that I received my first badge in March, which is Women's History Month. So I was very excited about that. And that badge was for entrepreneurship. So since
Love it.
then, I've had 7 at one time, but now I'm really focusing more on the leadership side of it.
Oh, that's wonderful. And you said a couple of cool things there. So one, you set the intention, and multiple times so far you've told us about coaches and mentors. Can you tell
Yes.
how setting intentions and working with coaches and mentors has had an impact on your career so far?
As I always say, mentorship accelerates your results. If you want to accelerate your result, if you want to accelerate your learning, if you want to bring other people into your ecosystem, as Troy calls it, because they will help you get where you want to go with less time and a lot of times with less discomfort. We all have imposter syndrome. It doesn't matter where we are, in the spectrum. And statistics say that more high performing women have imposter syndrome than those who are lower performing which is very interesting to me. But anyway, I am a firm believer in inviting people to the party, and that's my networking piece. And sometimes if I'm on LinkedIn and I read something that inspires me or something that I want to have a conversation about or ask questions, I will grab their email and I'll send them a $5 Starbucks cup of coffee, because that starts the conversation. As I always said,
Mm.
Starbucks is always about leadership and latte. LinkedIn is also one of my platforms of choice, but Starbucks is where a lot of things actually come to life for the Lead Loudly brand.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And I love how you invite people to the party. And certainly if you
Mm-hmm.
follow Natalie on social media, which I highly suggest you do, you'll see her in action. One, you can find her around her hashtag lead loudly, or two,
Yes.
you'll see she's tagging lots of people in her posts, and that's people that she wants to connect with the content and perhaps that should connect with each other. And again, she invites everyone to the party and also facilitates the party. So what are
Guilty.
your, yes. So what are some of your recommendations to leaders out there looking to grow their personal brand and impact using
We
LinkedIn to
all
attract?
have to learn it. Social media is a new thing, digital leadership. It's a new thing to all of us. And I can remember years ago, I was having a conversation with Glenn Gilmore, one of my mentors, and he was saying to me, "You need to get on Twitter, now X." And I said, "I don't want to talk about what I had for breakfast. I have no interest in that." He said, "Talk about what you always talk about." And I said, "What is that?" He said, "Women's leadership. Go talk about it." And so that's what I started doing. And I would encourage you, if you are apprehensive about getting started, find a mentor, find a colleague, find someone who's maybe one or two steps down the road, and have a courageous conversation with them. Jump in their DM, say, "I really enjoy your content. I really want to share my content as well. Could you give me one or two tips on how to get started and who I should connect with?" And you
I
just
love
kind of start the conversation from there. And if you're apprehensive, please reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to be your
two
party
things you said
starter.
there. Digital leadership. You want to speak to what that means a little bit, and then
Digital leadership is one of the pieces that I've been exploring about the last 2 years. And I actually was invited by Heather Human last year to actually do a segment on digital leadership and what does that mean, but also what does that mean for your personal brand. We all know that things have shifted, so now we can have a television show just like what we're doing right now. We can have a radio show, what I did earlier on LinkedIn audio. So basically now the media is literally that tool in your hand. And as far as your personal brand, you want to make sure that your personal brand is aligned with where you want to go. As
Mhm.
you told me last year, decide what hill that you want to die on and make that your foundation and continue to have conversations about it over and over and over again. So they will know when you show up, you're going to talk about women's leadership. You're going to talk about empowerment. You're going to talk about entrepreneurship. You're going to talk about lead loudly. They already know. You've already warmed your market. And as you warm your market, you will start to align with others who are interested, who will join you in champion what you're doing, and also who will invite others to the party
I
as
love
well.
that. And the hills you die on are really your foundation, which is your vision, right? And your personal brand, you should be living out your
Mm-hmm.
values. And when you're living out your values, generally as a senior leader of a company, they are similar, if not the same as your company. Sure, you have your own
Sure.
personal ones as to who you are as a person, but personal brands for, say, a CEO or personal values rather are basically the same as the companies in most cases. So when you're living your values and sharing
Mm-hmm.
them and putting them out there, those are the ideal clients you want to attract, is the people with the same ones that resonate with the same values as you, right?
Absolutely. Because if you think about the brands that you enjoy, there's certain brands that I enjoy, and I would drive 30 minutes and get out in the rain to go into certain brands that I enjoy because I want that experience. Because I know that experience is going to be consistent over and over and over again. And it becomes part of my lifestyle. And then I become part of the legacy.
Because you've worked with so many mentors and coaches yourself, how would you recommend, like you mentioned somebody on a few paths as you, but do you recommend, like, say, an executive coach with a specific curriculum, an organic connection with somebody you just hit it off with? even if it could be an exterior consultant helping you with a function in your business that needs some assistance. Like in my world, like a lot of CEOs don't really get marketing, and then when they get going on it, they get really scared because they're not really sure what to do. Anyway, so I guess how do you go about picking the right mentor for where you're at?
I think you have to look at your personality
Mhm.
and think about how you like to accomplish things. I was talking with a colleague last week and she was saying, "Oh, I'll help you do this." I said, "No, no, no, no." I said, "You don't understand." I said, "If you want me to crash and burn, you asked me to learn something that's not in my zone of genius. And I know that I need to be very clear about staying in my lane and not venturing off someplace else." And it's okay. Sometimes say people will tell me, "Well, I tried mentorship and it doesn't work." You tried it one time with one person. There are a lot of variables that take place. You can be mentored by someone on YouTube, by a book that you read that you're inspired by, someone who is a speaker. There are just all sorts of ways that you can get, mentorship. And sponsorship is another level. Sponsorship is when the person says, on behalf of my credibility, I think Susie is a wonderful person and you need to hire her for the consulting job. And allyship is another level. And allyship is a whole nother realm where we talk about how do we bring advocacy into this conversation and how do we make this conversation bigger as we want to impact the world.
Oh, I love that. I love the advocacy. I love the breakdown of the mentorship tiers. Like, I feel like that's a whole topic in itself that you could really go deep on. So that's really exciting. And as I mentioned before, lead loudly is your hashtag all over social media. What does
Mhm.
that mean to you? I know you attract a lot of people in there, so what does it symbolize and why do you think everyone's attracted to it?
Because lead loudly is me. Lead loudly is the hashtag that some interns and I came up with several years ago, sitting in Starbucks. And I was sharing with them my vision and what I wanted to see, and how I was asking them for help because a lot of the digital pieces were just starting out and they were a couple of steps down the road. And I was like, okay, I need to learn this and I need to have the fast and the furious version of it. And I wanted some kind of rally cry, some kind of battle cry that we could all, kind of sort of get around and say. And that's how Lead Loudly came about. And it means to have bold, courageous leadership. It used to be bold, confident, and fearless, and now it's starting to emerge into bold, courageous leadership because as I grow, the battle cry and what it means will grow and expand
Really
as well.
started a movement with it. And as you said, your vision and your battle cry. And I just love that because again, so many people are attracted to it. But again, people are attracted to your values. So you personified your own values in building your own personal brand and you are a magnet for others on the same aspirations as you, right?
Absolutely. I basically wanted to catch on fire because I want women, especially women, to understand that they can be their own economic engines. They can make their own decisions as far as how they want to live and how they want to lead and how they want to have impact.
Although women's empowerment is the hill you'll die on, you certainly have no shortage of men attracted to this battle cry and your mission, and you ally and you partner with them as well. So, not to say that we're excluding them in any way, right?
Absolutely, by no sense of the matter, because I always say women have only been in the workforce roughly about 50 to 60 years, with Rosie the Riveter in the World War. And so now we're looking at women have not had an opportunity to be socialized in training and development as fast as our male counterparts have. So I
Mhm.
always say my vision of women's entrepreneurship and women's empowerment is not us or them, it's us and them.
To your point that women haven't necessarily been in the workforce as much and allyship and
Mhm.
mentorship, how can men support the female economic engine to help grow their own businesses? How can they harness the power of women as an economic engine to further their own economic
Well,
goals?
I feel like the men have to understand that we're different, and that's okay. And that is the power of having diversity, inclusion, and equity. Say that it's been decades later, but I'm sometimes still the only female in the boardroom, or still the only female that's sitting at the table. And I want to invite others to come along. And most of the time, if I'm invited to something that is all male, it's a male that has to invite me, because sometimes the female has not basically shattered that glass ceiling in that particular industry or that particular association yet. But it's not saying that we can't do it, but we need to have these conversations about what we need to see and what we want to see. Because if you look at the buying power of the female, it is astronomical. So we need to hold them accountable. Sorry, I got on my
Point
soapbox.
was, to give us your insights and again, this is the hill you'll die on, right? So, and
Right,
it's great.
absolutely.
Congratulations to you for being, representing us in the room. That's really
Thank
exciting.
you.
To close it out, what are some of your, because just because you're like such a pro at social media and building a personal brand and growing community, any pointers or best practices you do that you'd recommend to anyone looking to, grow their influence and audience using social media to attract new clients?
Absolutely. First, you have to get started. Stop thinking this is a maybe, maybe I'll get to it. No, this is a must do.
Mhm.
Not visible. The clients don't know you exist.
Yep.
Your referral partners don't know you exist. And most of all, they don't know why you exist. When
Oh,
your
I love that.
audience knows why you exist, you don't have to advertise another day in your life, because they automatic align with your mission and vision.
Oh, I
And
love that.
social media is really a platform to be able to do that. It actually shortens the gap between where your audience and your consumer and your client is to where you are. And it builds that alignment, it builds that heart center, it builds that why, in knowing why I should choose you over and over again.
Oh, I love your customer experience as well. Like your thought
Yes,
leadership is pulling in people who align with what you're all about. If you don't have that out there, and I've told that before to other clients that we're not comfortable being on social media or they don't necessarily see the
sure.
value in it, like because it still is an emerging thing for a lot of leaders, but like your employees are watching, your partners, like, and if you are going to get Googled, like if they're deciding between you and another
Mhm.
vendor, they are going to Google you and see what you're
That is
all
so true.
about. So
And
if
they're
you
going to
are,
go to
Mhm.
LinkedIn as
Yeah.
well, because I cannot tell you, because I have LinkedIn Pro, because I
Mhm.
want to look at the analytics, because for me the analytics tells me how my thought leadership is being consumed. Do I
Oh yeah.
need to go deeper on this project? Do I need to go deeper on this story or this alignment or whatever the case may be? But I cannot tell you how many people look at my profile each day, and then I'm able to go and look at their profile and to maybe see, what is exactly they're looking for. And sometimes I will actually do a short video and send it to them by email saying, thank you so much for viewing my LinkedIn profile. I'm Nathalie Gregg, and I play at the intersection of leadership, economic development, and personal branding. I look forward to collaborating with you.
I mean, how does that not captivate somebody's attention if you send an intro like that, right? That's super exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're saying your content strategy is working for you. You're using data to inform topics you talk about,
Yes.
and you're using your analytics to dictate one, who you're going to connect with, and
Mm-hmm.
two, see how your content resonates, right?
That's
Very
right.
good.
Because as Troy said earlier on the LinkedIn audio,
Mhm.
you have to decide what it is you want to deliver. But also, you have to make sure that what you're delivering aligns with your audience. You create your content, that what percentage of it is going to be educational, what percentages is
Mhm.
going to be maybe motivational,
Yeah.
inspiring, those kinds of things. And then also, what percentage of it is going to be a call of action? What is going to be the call of action that's actually going to generate leads? Because you are in
Yeah.
business to generate leads, because that's how you make money.
That's dipping into some social strategy, and that's how your pillars. I like how you organize that. Educational, motivational, call to action. And I have noticed somebody like lately too, her sales are going up a lot. And that's just because she's just started asking for the sale, both in emails and on her social media posts, like having that CTA at the end. People might not act on it right away, but they're reading it. And then maybe if you do a little bit of direct outreach, like I've done lately, I have a lot of people are like right away, they were like, let's set up a call. Let's set up a call. Let's set up a call right
Yes.
away. Because they've been consuming my social media content
And
for a long
that's
time.
one thing that social media does very well. It warms the market, and you never know when they will act. I was actually on a LinkedIn audio last week about personal branding, and I was talking about my LinkedIn audit. And I said, I want you to understand that my LinkedIn audit experience is not, what your profile should look like. It's what your engagement should look like,
Ooh, I
because
love that.
that's the power of the engagement and having those courageous conversation with your ideal customer and also your ambassadors, and knowing which role each person plays in your network. That's the power right there.
And actually having conversations, being a generous networker and engaging on other people's posts and, being reciprocal, certainly another key element of your success on social media for sure.
So I'm always looking to learn more, always taking classes and always having conversations about, how can I improve where I already am, because I'm excited to see what's next.
Oh, check out Lead Loudly, the hashtag, to find all things Nathalie Gregg all over social media. As she is one person you want to be sure to follow. And thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for joining us here today.
Thank you for the invitation.